Hello ladies and gentlemen, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to configure single engine general aviation throttle configuration setup, whatever. This will cover gear trim, throttles, and flaps over here. And so let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure you have a profile that you want to configure your single engine configuration to. So in my case, I have named a profile single GA. So it means single engine general aviation, which is what we'll be programming. And we're going to start with the axes first. Axes. So we're going to go to power management. We're going to go to throttle one axis. Start scanning from the top to bottom, and then click validate, and then click reverse axis. And you can see, should be good to go. And for the reverse thrust, we're going to go right before the detent. So as you can see, I have my throttle right before the detent. It's like basically at the end of its travel for the main axis, just to the point right before the detent. And find throttle 1 decrease, click on it, start scanning, and like I said, right before the detent, and push the button in, and then come out of the detent and validate. You can see, throttle 1 decrease, then out of the detent. Next, we're going to do the propeller axis. So just click the drop down menu for propeller, scroll down a little bit, and find propeller 1 axis. Start scanning from the top to the bottom, and validate. And then click reverse axis. And for mixture, click the mixture drop down menu, find mixture 1 axis -100 to 100%. Should be the first one. Start scanning from the top to the bottom, and click validate. And of course, reverse the axis. We're now going to program the little red button that is found on only one of the throttle levers for general aviation. It says go around right there. Should have a little red button right here. Now, you can program the red button to whatever you want. You can program it to auto throttle, you can program it to parking and brake if you want, but it's supposed to be programmed to TOGA, or take off, go around, I think is what it stands for. And in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, that can be found in the autopilot tab. Okay, and I have found it. Auto throttle TOGA. It's a little bit down. You gotta scroll a little bit down, but you'll find it. Auto throttle TOGA. Start scanning, and all you have to do is press the button once. You should be good. Validate. Okay, now we can test it. So when you push the button in, you should be good. Just a single button press. Pretty easy. And now since the gear lever is in the down position, we're going to program the gear up first. So click on gear up, start scanning, and like I said, your gear should be in the down position, so that when we press the up button that is inside the throttle, it will program as gear up. So let's do it. So gear up, flick the gear to the up position, and then back down, and that'll program gear up. And click validate. And now to program the gear down, we're going to put the gear in the up position. Click on here, start scanning. Like I said, make sure the gear lever is in the up position. Flick the gear down, then back up again. And then click validate. So gear down, we're pressing the gear down button. And then gear up, we're pressing the gear up button. And that is a button internally, not externally. Okay, now we can do the trim wheel right here. To program the trim wheel, we'll go to Flight Control Surfaces, Controls Trimming Surfaces, and it's not an axis. The trim wheel is actually not an axis. It's actually two buttons, one for trim down and one for trim up. So we're going to scroll down until we find elevator, trim, nose down. For elevator, trim, nose down, start scanning and move the trim wheel forward or down and click validate. And for elevator, trim up, nose up, start scanning and move the trim wheel backward or up and validate. So as you can see, trim wheel down, and it kind of rapidly presses the button, and then trim wheel up. As you can see, it rapidly presses the button for trim wheel up. Now for the flaps switch right here, it is not actually a hold in place switch. It is two buttons, one for flaps down and one for flaps up. It does not actually stay in place. And for that, we're going to go to Flight Control Surfaces, Secondary Control Surfaces. We're going to go down and find Increase Flaps and start scanning. And when you are on Increase Flaps, push down on the flaps button and click validate. And then find Decrease Flaps, start scanning, and push upward on the flaps button and click validate. So increase flaps and decrease flaps. Increase down, decrease up. Okay, so that should be pretty much it. If you want to see the autopilot panel being programmed, then you can watch, I have a video on that. If you want to see the switch panel right here programmed, I show you an example of how to do so. But switches you can just program to anything. But we're going to test it out in Microsoft Flight Sim. Okay, so as you can see, we are at the end of the axis travel for the throttle axis. But when we actually go into the detent, which we programmed as throttle 1 decrease, we're in reverse thrust, as you can kind of hear, I think. I think it's showing up on the desktop audio, that it's actually picking that up. So yeah, we are actually in reverse thrust right now. And we come out of the detent and just move it a little bit forward, and we come out of reverse thrust. And as you can see, we also have a flap switch right here, which when we push the flaps down, you can see it goes down, push it up, it goes up, but we're going to set our flaps to takeoff, I believe is what this is on the 208 Caravan. And now let's do a little test flight. Okay, now that we're up in the air a little bit, I'm going to put our flaps up. And as you can see, I can still move both axes. I could cut our fuel off completely if I wanted to. I could turn some throttle down. I could enter reverse thrust, which would not be the best idea. I could trim down if needed, or I could trim up if needed. And if this plane had gear, I could put the gear up or down. I could put my flaps all the way down, or I could put my flaps all the way up if wanted. And if I don't know if this has toga, but if it did, then I could use toga. Now, like I said, you can program the red button on the side to whatever you want. You could program it to just regular auto throttle. You could program it to parking brake. You could program it to literally anything. And ignore the flying in the background, but I'm really just trying to do this for demonstration. But that is all for this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video. Peace out.